Mangwana ni mwalelepo vukenjani klekwa Savannah Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Mberi. These are some of the top stories we'll be looking at. Rwandan opposition leader barred from elections. Nigerian kidnappers demand $620,000 for the release of school hostages. And Namibia's total population stands at just over 3 million people. Stay with us as we will also cross over to talent Gore in Zimbabwe as she gives us the news stories from there. This is Africa Good Morning. Getting into our top stories, a court in Rwanda has blocked efforts by prominent opposition figure Victoire Ingabire to lift a ban on her running in July's presidential election. She was freed in 2018 after spending 8 years in prison for threatening state security and belittling the 1994 genocide. In Rwanda, people who have been jailed for more than 6 months are barred from running in elections. Ms. Ingabire said the court's ruling was politicized. She is an outspoken critic of President Paul Kagame, who has been the dominant force in the country for 3 decades. The 66-year-old president has faced criticism from rights groups which have accused him of cracking down on the opposition. Now, Ms. Ingabire in 2010 returned from exile in the Netherlands to take part in that year's presidential election, but she was arrested, prevented from standing, and later sentenced to 15 years in prison. After she was pardoned in 2018, she went on to found the Daufa Umurinzi opposition party. Now, Ms. Ingabire, a member of the Hutu ethnic group, had got into trouble for questioning why Rwanda's official memorial to the 1994 genocide did not include any Hutus. Now, in our next story, an update on a story we've been bringing since last week. Gunmen who kidnapped 286 students and staff from a school in northern Nigeria last week have demanded a total of 1 billion naira, just over $620,000 for their release. A spokesman for the families of the hostages and a local councillor told Reuters. The school children, some older students and members of the school staff were abducted on the 7th of March in the town of Kuriga in Nigeria's northwestern Kaduna state, in the first mass kidnapping in the country since 2021. Now, backers of detained opposition presidential candidate in Senegal, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, are taking his campaign to the streets of Senegal with posters and bracelets, drumming up support in the hope he will be released before the vote. Faye was relatively unknown within Senegal's tumultuous political scene until popular firebrand opposition leader Ousmane Sonko backed his candidacy for the March 24 vote. Sonko, who enjoys widespread support among Senegal's jobless youth, is also in detention and disqualified from the race over a defamation conviction. Sonko denies any wrongdoing. Now, Faye, who is facing charges including defamation and contempt of court, remains eligible because there has been no ruling yet against him. There are no public opinion polls in Senegal, but Faye is seen as a strong contender among the 19 candidates vying for the presidency, with the campaign condensed into a little over 2 weeks after uncertainty of the date of the vote was settled by a court ruling after widespread protests. Now, Namibian Statistician General Alex Shimwafeni has shared preliminary census results which indicate that Namibia's total population is just over 3 million people.
And then Commerce region, we are talking of almost 500,000 of people in Commerce. And Samora Machel constituency being the highest with 92,401 people. And then Katutura East, I'm actually from that constituency, We are the lowest at 22,940 in commerce. And then Kunene region, that's the population 120,762 people, and Lepumba is the constituency with the most people, whereas Sesfontein is the lowest constituency population-wise. Wamwena region, 337,000 people, 729, with a non-1,594.
Already has a plan in place which pays failed asylum seekers to return to their home countries. But the new measure targets those who cannot return to their countries of origin, local press reported. The cash in exchange for moving to Rwanda is just another scheme in Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's ambitious plan to stop irregular migration. It does not replace the plan to deport illegal arrivals to Rwanda, which has been blocked by courts over the concerns about the East African country's safety. Now, the new bill compels judges to regard Rwanda as a safe country and gives ministers the power to disregard parts of the Human Rights Act. For accepting to receive deportees, Kigali has so far pocketed $300 million from London. Stay with us as we talk to talent Gore in Zimbabwe as she brings us stories including that of a Zimbabwean who has received a life sentence of 226 years in South Africa. Stay with us.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
All right, it's time for us to talk to talent Gore. Talent Wamkase.
Wamkase, Africa.
Tamuka Hedu, let's get straight into your first story. A Zimbabwean has been given 3 life sentences amounting to 226 years of jail time in South Africa.
Yes, a 34-year-old Zimbabwean man has been jailed for 3 life sentences and an additional 226 years imprisonment by the Pretoria High Court in South Africa after he was convicted of 26 counts during a crime spree. The crimes include rape, murder, illegal migration, kidnapping, housebreaking, escaping from jail, unlawful possession of a firearm and ammunition, and also robbery. So the National Prosecuting Authority Pretoria spokesperson Lumka Mahanjana said Leonard Chauke was arrested after escaping from jail in 2020. He had been serving 15-year jail term for housebreaking and robbery, and now he has also been convicted of other crimes. Apparently, Chauke did not, he was found guilty, and when he was asked if he was guilty or not guilty, he said he was guilty, but he put the blame on the drugs. He said that when he was committing all these crimes, he was under the influence of drugs. So he will be in a South African prison for 226 years.
All right. Sounds like justice has been served. Now let's move over to the next story. Zimbabwe appears to have made a U-turn with regards to Starlink. What are the details?
Yes, as you all know, Zimbabwe has not licensed Starlink, and there have been talks since last year between the government, between the government and the citizens. Citizens are saying that the network providers that we have, the service providers that we have in Zimbabwe, they are quite expensive. You should bring in a Starlink for competition, but the government has been reluctant, and they had said that they are not going to allow Starlink to operate. They are not going to license it in Zimbabwe because of security reasons. But however, as of now, Zimbabwe seems to have made a U-turn over Starlink amid revelations that senior government officials are in talks with the satellite internet provider, which is owned by Elon Musk. Zimbabwe has not licensed Starlink to sell its products due to security reasons, but right now the government is saying that they are having talks with Starlink to ensure that they license it in Zimbabwe. Even if Starlink is not licensed in Zimbabwe, people still are using Starlink. They have gone to Zambia, they've gone to Mozambique to purchase Starlink, and they're using roaming. So right now we have so many households which are using Starlink illegally in Zimbabwe because the internet providers, the service providers that we have in Zimbabwe, they are quite expensive. You find out that they are more expensive than actually going to Zambia and to Mozambique to purchase Starlink and come with it in Zimbabwe. So it's a whole lot of debates going on between the government and the citizens. And right now, the citizens are putting pressure on the government to make sure that they license Starlink and that Starlink be operational legally in Zimbabwe.
Understandably, I mean, access to information and internet cannot be understated, particularly in Zimbabwe. Thank you very much, Talent, for bringing us the stories.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
So it's good having you on Africa. Good morning. Now, sticking with regional news, the 13th Association of Municipal Electricity Undertakings of Southern Africa took place in Swakopmund yesterday. AMEU President Ndwamato Muchidza emphasized the importance of stakeholders' participation in the TID rollover process.
The AMU is encouraged by the work, as I said, done thus far, as the Minister has said, and we look forward to the regulator, of course guided by the policymaker, and all stakeholders towards the remaining rights become a reality. Because it's through them that you are able to extend that reach of ensuring that we are realizing universal access and access to electricity to the all part of our country, a citizen as such. We must continue Electricity Control Board and Empower to play your critical role, ensure that this becomes a reality. I call on all of us to commit to ensure that we play our collective roles or collaborative roles between ourselves, business and government and utilities towards addressing the energy poverty in this country and in South Africa. We might be value sitting at 92% energy access in South Africa. But if I tell you that in the city that I come from, I've got in excess of over 500 informal settlements, not people, informal settlements.
Now, getting into economic news, South Africa's central bank governor on Wednesday said that he was confident that the country would be removed from an international financial crime watchdog's grey list next year, given the work that is underway to fix identified issues. The International Financial Action Task Force last year placed South Africa on a grey list of countries under special scrutiny over implementing standards to prevent money laundering and terrorism financing. And the World Trade Organization's Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala said she was hopeful a fisheries subsidies agreement would be ratified this year by the required number of members.
We have 71 countries that have ratified. We need 110 in order for it to enter into force, so that any member that contravenes it can be brought by another member to say, look what they've done, and there can be some repercussions. 71. This is like the fastest going ratification we've seen. Many WTO agreements take 3+ years. We are 19 months and we're at 71. So I'm really pushing, and we are all pushing at the WTO to see whether we can get this ratified this year. I'm asking people, let's do the ratification before my birthday in June. Oh, that is good. I didn't know that.
All right, let's head over to our economic indicators just before Ari Hochad brings us the sport.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with football news or soccer news first. It is Champions League action, and it is Arsenal and Barcelona that's through to the quarterfinals. Let's start with Arsenal. They played at home against FC Porto, and it was FC Porto that won the first leg 1-0. It was Arsenal that won the second leg at home, also 1-0. It went to penalties, and it's Arsenal that won the penalties 4-2, and they advanced to the quarterfinals for the first time in 14 years. And in the other game, it is Barcelona that beat Napoli by 3-1. That was at home. That was for an aggregate win of 3-1, also through to the quarterfinals. This coming weekend, the focus of football will be on the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, and Arsenal not involved in that, but they still lead the English Premier League. They've got 64 points together with Liverpool, and that is after 28 games, and they're leading the English Premier League on goal difference. On to tennis news. It's the Indian Wells, or the BNP Paribas tournament being played in California. Firstly, on the women's side of the draw, it is number 1 seed Iga Swiatek. She's safely through. Sibi Julia Putsetsava by 6-1 and 6-2. That was in the round of 16. She's through to the quarterfinals. Also, Maria Sakkari, the 9th seed of Greece, also advancing. It is Iga Swiatek that will now play Caroline Wozniacki, and Caroline Wozniacki played against Angelique Kerber, and she beat the German by 6-4 and 6-2 in the round of 16. In the men's side of the draw, it is number 2 seed in the men's draw, Carlos Alcaraz. He's safely through. That was after he got probably a scare when he saw that Novak Djokovic's number 1 seed was knocked out of the tournament, and it's Carlos Alcaraz that beat Fabian Morazan by 6-3 and 6-3. Morazan is from Hungary. And also number 6 seed, Alexander Zverev. He had a tough 3-setter against Alex de Minaur of Australia, and it is Alexander Zverev, the number 6 seed. He won 5-7, 6-2 and 6-3 to also advance to the quarterfinals. And to close off today's international sports news, it is rugby news from the Six Nations. In Britain, it's the final round being played this weekend. Still, technically, 3 teams can win, but it's mostly Ireland and England that's in the best position to win the Six Nations of 2024. Team news from England is that Emmanuel Feye-Waboso, he was very influential in England's win over Ireland the past weekend. He's cleared for a concussion scare, so he will be able to play against France. That is this weekend in Lyon. Tough away game for England. England can still win the Six Nations if Ireland lose to Scotland and don't earn a bonus point. So it's Ireland also having good news that it is centre Kieran Frawley and wing Kelvin Nash. They're also both cleared from head injuries and they will be able to play against Scotland. At the moment, it's Ireland after 4 games, 16 points. England after 4 games, they have 12 points. And Scotland and France, 11 points. And so it's all to play for this coming weekend. It's Ireland that will host Scotland. And it is France that hosts England in Lyon. That's international sports news for today. I hope you have a great sport day. And we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. The most prominent news in Namibia yesterday being that the population is officially over 3 million people. And today, the State of the Nation address will be happening in Namibia, delivered by His Excellency Dr. Nangolo Mbumba. Let's have a look at the highlights from this morning's broadcast. Victor Ingabire, Rwandan opposition leader, barred from election. Nigerian kidnappers demand $620,000 equivalent for release of school hostages. South Africa should get off global regulators' grey list in 2025, says central bank governor. Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. DSTV 285, GoTV25, OneUp2.com, YouTube, and all social media platforms is where you can find us. From me, Ashwin Berry, Soraja Kanaga.